Sorry, we're going to start just a little bit late tonight. We have some technical difficulties that we're trying to resolve, and I think Mark gave me 1 minute, so we're ready to go.
Am I doing hand signs over there?
I think so.
Call a meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckner?
Here.
Reverend Campbell? Mayor Gilstrap?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Here.
Dr. Miller? Here. Mr. Saunders?
Here.
Mr. Shanks? Mr. Vogler?
Here.
Mr. Whittle?
Please stand as Councilman and former Mayor Sherman Saunders leads us in the invocation, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We ask forgiveness for those things that may have been unkind. Please bless our country and the men and women who keep us safe every day. Please bless your children everywhere. Thank you for the birth of your son. To him we say, happy birthday. And to all we say, Merry Christmas. We ask these blessings in your name and for your sake. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Saunders. Under announcements and special recognition, I invite Amy Bowles from Danville, Pennsylvania County Chamber of Commerce to give us a tourism update.
Thank you all for having me this evening.
And if you would, please pull that mic down so that everyone may hear you.
Is that good? Okay,
Right.
great. All right, well, thanks for having me. It's been a little over a year since I was hired, so I just wanted to come and give you a little update on everything that we've accomplished over the past year. One of the first things I did my second week of the job, I applied for a grant from the Virginia Tourism Corporation, and we will actually receive $25,000. That will be a reimbursement grant for the Experience DPC tourism website. I applied for an additional grant for an ad in the Virginia Travel Guide because those things are pretty pricey, so we will receive another $5,000 grant for reimbursement for that. We developed a calendar of events, a brand, a logo, a 3-year strategic plan, social media. Our Facebook is almost at 1,000 likes, and our Instagram is pretty close to 300 followers, and we also have a Twitter. This spring we held tourism stakeholder meetings to determine shared marketing opportunities and needs. We basically invited everyone out. We wanted to see what we could do to help them succeed and let them know about different tourism opportunities. We held meetings for attractions, lodging, agritourism, and just a general public meeting. I attended the Virginia Tourism Orientation, the Virginia Association of Convention and Visitor Bureaus Tourism Symposium, the 2017 Virginia Agritourism Conference, and the VA1 Summit, which is the state tourism conference for Virginia. As you all know, the Danville, Pennsylvania County Chamber of Commerce was named as the DMO for the city of Danville March 7th and for Pennsylvania County February 21st. Basically what that is, we are now the official connection between Virginia tourism and Danville and Pennsylvania County. So they'll reach out to me and say, hey Amy, do you have any recommendations for so-and-so? And I'll say, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Let me refer you to these organizations. I mentioned before our Experience DPC website. If you haven't looked at it yet, please do. I think it's great. I might be a little biased. We have an About section, attractions, events, food and drink, stay and shop, history, agritourism, arts, wedding venues, meeting venues, a blog, newsletter, an interactive map, a search option. We have as much as we could think of to put on there. So we really just wanted to showcase everything that Danville and Pittsylvania County has to offer. Some analytics from our website. We've had a large number of visitors from, of course, Danville and Pittsylvania County, also Blacksburg, Martinsville, Charlottesville, Charlotte, Durham, Raleigh, Greensboro, Washington, D.C., even states including California, South Carolina, Maryland, Illinois, Missouri, Georgia, and how about this, Peru, India, Russia, and Puerto Rico. So when I saw those, I'm like, how did they even hear about us? But it was great and just very validating. Currently, we've had over 3,700 unique page views and an average session duration of 5 minutes and 13 seconds. We have brand new photography, brand new video. We're part of a regional tourism effort called Dan River State Crossings, so thank you for your support with that. And also Fish Virginia First, which is another statewide tourism initiative. I attend regular meetings with surrounding localities, so that's Halifax, Martinsville, Henry County, and Mecklenburg. We currently have a very strong presence on Virginia.org. If you don't know, Virginia.org is the state tourism website. Prior to this position existing, it was not that, I don't want to say it wasn't a ton, but it wasn't that much, I'll just be honest. If you're not out there, you can't expect the visitors to come. It's nothing but free marketing. It's a great tool. They get over 16 million different visitors annually. That's a whole lot of free marketing. So now we have a pretty strong presence. I myself have done right at 200 different listings. And that can be hotels, restaurants, shops, anything tourism related. We definitely want to put that on there. And we're actually pulling our listings for experienced DPC from Virginia.org. So if you have a listing and you update it on Virginia.org, it'll automatically populate the updated information on our tourism website. So it's kind of two birds with one stone. You put it on Virginia.org, you'll be on experienced DPC. So if you're not on there, just see me. I would love to help you. A blog that we were recently featured quite a bit in on the Virginia travel blog was called Waterfront Wanderlust, a guide to fishing, food, and fun on the Dan River. That featured the Golden Leaf Bistro, the 616, Ballot Brewing, Two Witches, the Danville Braves, the Riverwalk Trail, Dan Daniel Park, Englers Park, VIR, which I know it's not technically in Danville, but we get enough revenue, so we'll claim them, and Abu Grogan Park. Also recently, we were featured in Biking with Kids, 12 family-friendly cycling trails, and that's, one of 12 out of the whole state. So I was pretty excited to see us on that. That covered the Riverwalk Trail, the Science Center, Me's Burgers and Brews, Checkered Pig, and the Tank Museum. We also held familiarization tours for frontline staff in September for the city of Danville, and we're currently working on one for Pittsylvania County. And let's see what else. We've done so much. It's very exciting. Let me go ahead and show you this. I'll pass this around. So one of the recent things we accomplished, we built the first love sign for the Danville and Pittsylvania County area. Some of you were able to make it out, so thank you very much. It is the only love sign in the state that is mobile. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure you've probably seen them all throughout the state. They're usually about 6 feet tall. It goes along with our state motto that Virginia is for lovers. So what better way to get visitors to stop by seeing a 6-foot sign on the side of the road driving through? You're going to stop and check it out, right? But usually the signs represent the area and what it's about. So the L on our love sign is barnwood, so it represents the history and agritourism, and it has a little leaf at the crease of it. The O is a tire that was donated from Goodyear, so that represents the workforce and also the motorsports tie-in. One side of the V represents the water sports. It's a canoe with a little paddle. And the opposite side is beer mugs and wine glasses for the growing brewery and winery scene. And then the E, the top bar, represents Chatham. It's different illustrations from Chatham. The middle is Gretna, the bottom is Hurt, and then the big bar represents the city of Danville. So might be a little biased, but I was pretty excited about that. We actually received over $10,000 worth of monetary donations, so the community could not have been more supportive and engaged, so we were very thankful for that. We'll also receive a $1,500 reimbursement grant from Virginia Tourism Corporation to go with that. And also at our unveiling ceremony, Todd Haymore, Secretary of Commerce and Trade, and also Rita McClenny, the President of Virginia Tourism Corporation, were in attendance. So when she showed up, I was shocked because I didn't even know she was going to be there. So to have the President of Virginia Tourism come out was pretty exciting. That was actually on display in the Chatham Parade as well as the Danville Parade, and currently it is at the Holiday Light Show in Ballou Park. One thing about it being mobile, it can go all throughout the city and the county from Danville all the way up to Hurt, any different event or anything. So just let us know if you're interested in having it for an event. We help sponsor a regional agritourism workshop on December the 6th. And another exciting initiative that we are in support of is the Home of Wendell Scott entrance signs. So we're hoping that these signs can be placed at the entrances to Danville. One thing about having those signs, if you look at all of the traffic that goes to Martinsville, that pass through Danville, and they're going to these races, I feel like we should take advantage of what history we have here. So if we could reach those who are driving through Danville to get to the races, just imagine the impact. I know our hotels usually fill up when there's a race, so just imagine just those who are driving through and say, oh, that's the home of Wendell Scott. Maybe you guys should check it out. And that's just bringing in even more who are just going to pass through. And then also, kind of correlating with that, the Tourism Advisory Committee would like to do a Walk of Fame. So that's pretty exciting. I'm not sure. Hopefully that'll be accomplished next year. And we've had permission granted that we can have that up at the Danville Welcome Center. So that will actually tie in, other famous people from here and localites who made it big. And also gave you guys new tourism t-shirts. We have those for sale for $12 at the chamber. That was a lot. Sorry. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Amy. Before questions, let me ask Councilman Buckner, who I believe serves on that committee, if you have any additional comments.
Amy's doing a wonderful job. All of the board's doing a wonderful job. I'm really looking forward to 2018 and what's next. So it's been a great. I've seen a lot of success with it. I hear a lot of people talking about it. The buzz is apparently worldwide because they're looking at it all over the country. So just keep up the good work. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilman Vogel.
I just wanted to thank you, Amy, for coming and giving the presentation tonight and for the work that you all are doing. The love sign looks great. Those of us who were there to check it out for the unveiling, I already got pictures with it, and looks good in the light show too. I already saw it there. It's fantastic, and just look forward to seeing it out and about. And I want to remind folks when they're taking cool pictures around town in our area,
That's right.
Pennsylvania County and Danville, the hashtag #ExperienceDPC. But it's exciting to hear from folks all over, you said, that have been checking out what we're doing, and even as far away as Puerto Rico. That's exciting. I know Councilman Buckner has some connections there. He's probably the credit for that, so give him the credit for that one. But anyway, thank you so much, Amy, and look forward to what's next.
Councilman Miller.
Well, I was going to give a plug for the light show, but this correlates, dovetails in with it. The love sign is there. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the 24 exhibits at the light show. The light show is awesome this year. You only got a few days left to see it. It only costs $7 a car. But go out and see the Danville Parks and Rec light show. Thank you.
Blue Park.
Blue Park.
Any more questions of Amy?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Citizens who desire to speak on matters not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Citizens who desire to speak on agenda items will be heard when the agenda item is considered. Ward?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. Before I begin,
Please state your name.
I'm sorry. My name is Warwick Scott. I'm a resident of Danville, Virginia, and I have a presentation here for City Council with regards to Wendell Scott signs at the entry points of the city. However, before I begin, I want to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly and humbly thank my father, Frank Scott, and my Uncle Wendell Jr. For their sacrifices and for their efforts with regard to Scott Racing way back when. You all are truly the reason that I stand here this evening, and everything we're doing in your honor, and I want to thank you. Mayor Gilstrap and members of City Council, my name is Warwick Scott, and I'm a resident of Danville, Virginia. I'm here tonight, along with other citizens in this chamber, to present to you close to 700 signatures of additional supporters who are respectfully asking your consideration for the approval of recognition signage. The signage would identify the city of Danville as the home of his native son, Wendell Scott, who was inducted into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame in 1999 and into the NASCAR Hall of Fame January 30th, 2015. We are not recommending the design of the signs. However, we would like for their locations to be at the 5 entrance points into Danville. We also ask that the Wendell Scott Foundation be afforded the right of approval once the signs are designed. The petitions were separated into 2 categories: signatures of Danville residents who are in support of the expense of taxpayer funds for the signage through an appropriate budget line item to be determined by the city manager and or city council. The other residents of Pennsylvania County and surrounding Henry County, Martinsville, and North Carolina are also included in the petitions, and they are in full support of this effort. In addition, we have the support of the Danville, Pennsylvania County Chamber of Commerce Tourism Committee. The committee members recognize the value of tourism to our area that the signage will bring. Danville sits in the middle of 3 racetracks: Martinsville Speedway, South Boston Speedway, and Virginia International Raceway, all of which Wendell Scott was a legendary race car driver. Signage recognizing Wendell Scott will be seen by thousands of avid racing fans who come from all over the country to travel to these raceway destinations. By placing signage at the 5 major entrances into the city of Danville, we have the potential to be an annual pit stop for fans if they only knew of Danville's racing significance. When residents live, work, and play in Danville, they are not generating new revenue for the city. When outside entities visit, play, eat, drink in Danville, they create a displaced revenue stream for our city. The racetrack in Henrico County, Richmond Raceway, has a $497 million economic impact and brings in about $87 million into the state for local tax revenue. Martinsville Speedway generates almost $170 million in revenue. Surely racing fans would be more inclined to visit or stay in Danville if they were aware that it is the home of NASCAR legend Wendell Scott. Apart from the realm of racing, Wendell Scott is a globally recognized figure who has been featured in multiple documentaries and animated short films, including Driven, done by StoryCorps, PBS, and NPR, that generated 3,126,619 views on social media, reaching viewers all over the world. Wendell Scott was also featured in the latest Disney Pixar film, Cars 3. The character River Scott was based on Wendell Scott, and since its release in June 2017, which the Wendell Scott Foundation had the pleasure of hosting its premiere here in Danville, was #1 on its opening weekend and has gone on to collect $378 million worldwide and $152 million domestically. As reported in the media, we are reminded that there are other Danvillians who have national or worldwide fame. As best stated by Senator William Stanley, our 20th senatorial district senator, in our nation's history, there are only a few who dared for greatness and stood for change in America during the struggle for equality and civil rights. A few names come to mind: Rosa Parks, Medgar Evers, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Jackie Robinson, to name a few. But here in the South Side of Virginia, we have Wendell Scott, often considered the Jackie Robinson of NASCAR, who broke the color barrier in one of America's greatest sports, stock car racing. It is appropriate, it is right, and just that we here in Danville, one of the great cities that built Virginia, celebrate his legacy as a bright shining light and example of not only who we were, but also what we stand for and who we will be as a community, both now and in the future. In this regard, as a member of the Danville, Pennsylvania County Department of Tourism Committee, I am pleased to inform this body and the public that there is another effort under consideration through the Tourism Committee to establish a Walk of Fame. The committee has been researching and to date has approximately 15 names that could be considered for recognition. This effort would establish guidelines for recognizing others who have made significant contributions to bring national and worldwide attention to our area. We do not diminish the importance of any others, but many were born or raised in our area, and their accomplishments and fame happened after they left our area. Many never returned to give back to our communities. Wendell Scott and his family remained in the area, and his children and his grandchildren continued his dream of helping young people through teaching and mentoring them to believe that they could achieve their goals. Our request is to spotlight Danville to the many travelers passing through who will immediately recognize the name Wendell Scott and would be intrigued to stop in our city, visit his birthplace, and hopefully one day be able to see his car in the Wendell Scott Center and Museum and have young people participate in STEAM and workforce development, hands-on activities, and educational tools. I understand there is a memorial commission that exists recently considering the renaming of the Danville Public Library in honor of Miss Ruby Archie. Perhaps this is the proper committee to refer our request. I'd also like to mention another point for you to consider. If you travel through Virginia towards Stewart, you will see honors with regards to the Wood brothers, a historic NASCAR family. In North Carolina, along the highway, you will see the names Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt Sr., and Jr. In South Carolina, you will see signs for Jeff Gordon and Carol Yarborough. In Georgia, you'll see references to Bill Elliott. And in Alabama, you'll see references to the Allison family. Tourists visit these cities because of the impact these NASCAR Hall of Famers have had on their areas. We are hereby offering that the Wendell Scott Foundation will agree to be the fundraising agent should there be a need for such to cover any cost over and above that which council would normally fund for such a request. Lastly, and most importantly, I would like to ask those in the chamber tonight that are residents of Danville who are in support of this request to please stand. I'd also like to give you an example of our signage. Mr. Resident Jefferson will approach the floor and give you an example of what our dream is. The Wendell Scott Foundation, we're visionaries. The youth we work with, we try to encourage them to dream. And dream big, as my grandfather did. So this is an example of what the sign could look like. And I'd like to thank you for the consideration and for the time to approach council. Thank you. Are there any questions?
No question, but did you have a petition?
We do. We have petitions.
Will you file this with our clerk?
Yes.
Of council, please?
Yes, sir. Questions?
Mr. Buckner. Councilman Buckner.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Councilman Buckner.
Yes, sir.
Can I do this? Can I ask for questions?
Yeah, I was just
Councilman Buckner.
I was just trying to point to the clerk so they'd see who we're talking about.
Yeah, Warwick, thank you for an awesome presentation. You guys are doing some amazing things in the community. For everybody in attendance and everybody at home, there are three important dates in the history for Danville, Virginia. March 4th, 1961, the first African American ran a race in NASCAR in Spartanburg, South Carolina. That was our very own Wendell Scott. Fast forward to December 1st, 1963, am I right here? Jacksonville, Florida, the first African American man to ever win a race in NASCAR was our very own Wendell Scott. And then again, on January 30th, 2015, our very own Wendell Scott was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I really like the idea of this happening and it going before the Memorials Commission. And let's see if we can get this thing going pretty soon, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Councilman Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, we're really sitting among history right now. Wendell Scott, two sons, sitting right, would you please stand? Two sons. They raced with him, they were his mechanics, they traveled with him. This is part of the Wendell Scott story right here. So if you get a chance, please talk to them, because they have that history. They saw, lived what we read about. Thank you all very much. And Warwick, just to make sure that I'm clear, you mentioned 5 entry points.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the north, south, east, and west. Where's the 5th one? Or name the 5 entry points.
Entering from South Boston,
86.
86.
Okay.
Coming
Okay.
in from North Carolina. Route coming from South Boston into Danville. Coming from Martinsville into Danville. Coming from the Chattanooga region into Danville. I wasn't keeping count.
Okay. Well.
I'll defer to the public there,
Okay, and finally, Mr. Mayor, and thank the Commission for looking at this, and I await the recommendation. And many of us know the city council, we had Wendell Scott Day in Danville. And I can tell you, Mr. Mayor, because we did that, at the time I was sitting where you are, and I got invited to the White House to meet the President Barack Obama, who knew of Wendell Scott, had read about Wendell Scott, had wonderful things to say about him. So yes, we have history in our city, and I'm just very honored and proud that some of the history is sitting right there. I mean, right there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
One question and clarification, not for you, but for our city attorney. This memorial committee that named the library, that was a one-time shot just for a facility. It can't carry over to any other purpose.
Well, it is for city-owned facilities, so I think that this would be a council decision rather than a memorial.
That's what I was saying. This would be a council decision and not a commission.
Yes, sir.
So just for that, that was my understanding. Where am I? Councilman Vogler.
Yes, first of all, Warwick, thank you for coming and giving that presentation, and the points that you made obviously are sometimes goes without saying, but I'm glad that you said them, and the points Councilman Buckner made. Wendell Scott was certainly a trailblazer and someone that I think all Danvillians are certainly proud of and should be proud of, and to be able to display that for others. And again, the tourism benefits that could come from it, I think, are profound. So I am looking forward to this discussion. Ultimately, one day, as I believe you stated, I would love to have a Wendell Scott museum that people can go visit here. But I hope that this is a first step to beginning that conversation as well. But as far as the Memorial Commission, of course, for those who don't know, I am the chair of that commission, and we just went through that process. I was hoping that ultimately, as you pointed out, it is a council decision that would be made, just as the library is ultimately a council decision. But it goes through a process through the Memorial Commission to kind of work through the details, so then it comes back to council. I would be very open to seeing if we can have the Memorial Commission include a request as this nature, as I believe is along the lines of what that was, and if we need to do something with the language of that to include it for future use, because I don't know if we've had a request like this before, but I think it would be proper for it to go through a Memorial Commission, such as we have just done, and the process has played itself out the way it was intended with the library. And I think if we're going to do this, it's important that we do it in a structured way. And personally, I feel the Memorial Commission would be a great way to begin that process and then come back to council, just as we've done with the library. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask if we can have in our work session a discussion tonight about the Memorial Commission and possibly Clark, that we can get the ball rolling, Mr. Mayor. So I'm asking tonight if we can have a discussion in regards if this can go to the Memorial Commission. But I just want to...
Excuse me, I reiterate, Vice Mayor, I do not believe the commission can address it because they are appointed for a specific purpose, and it was mayor appointed.
Well, we can talk about in the work session, because I believe, Mr. Mayor, there's one stipulation in it that is good for 1 year. So hopefully we can talk about it in the work session.
We will, and we will put it on the agenda for the work session January 2nd.
I was referring to tonight.
You talking about tonight?
Tonight, yes, sir. If we can do it tonight.
If no objections, we can add that to the agenda tonight.
Thank you. But I want to say this to you, Warwick. I've been wanting to say this for a long time. I don't mean to point at you, but this is really very heartfelt for me. You talked about your father, and you talked about your uncle, you talked about your grandfather, and that's amazing. And I want to thank you all so much, but I want to talk about you for a second. You and your wife came back to our community, and you've been very quiet. You've done so much in the community, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I guess I am. Could you tell them, the audience and the people sitting here, some of the amazing things, and you don't ask for anything, but I remember last year at Cardinal Village, I want you to talk about what you did at Cardinal Village, and for those kids, and for that community. I want you to talk about tomorrow, what you're doing over there tomorrow. This foundation does so much in our community and asks for nothing. Could you touch on that just a little bit?
Yeah, well, thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for giving my wife, please stand, Sneak. Thank you for giving her the credit she so deserves.
Yes.
If it were not for her, we wouldn't be living here. She gave me ultimately the blessing to relocate here from Raleigh, North Carolina. You know, the Wendell Scott Foundation, we provide STEM education-based mentoring for at-risk youth. When I was living in Raleigh, I was invited to Langston to speak. And I was so taken aback by the students that day and how they had the reverence and respect for my grandfather's legacy and how I could see the hope in their eyes. So the Wendell Scott Foundation, we work with youth that have been identified as underserved or underprivileged, or merely identified. We do not believe that these youth are underprivileged. We try to provide them with the opportunities that translate into real life success. We purposely work with the school system here in Virginia, in Danville. We work with social services. We work with foster care. And our charge is we're asking for the students, the young men and young women that the school systems cannot seem to figure out. The young men and young women that are not forgotten but just are maybe not as easily relatable. We provide after-school programming where we have race car simulators and we utilize STEM education technology in order to open up their minds. We advocate for youth. We also provide summer camp opportunities for youth. But what I am most proud of is that the mentors from the Wendell Scott Foundation, every single morning, 7 days a week, no later than 7 o'clock in the morning, they are up and they are being accountable for the youth that we serve. And there's no job too small or too big. Anything from a pat on the back to a new suit if the opportunity calls for it. That's what we do. We are a small agency, but we are a powerful agency. On tomorrow, in the spirit of economic development, I want to recognize IKEA. We are doing something called IKEA Presents a Wendell Scott Foundation Holiday Miracle at Cardinal Village. The reason it's a miracle is because I just had a lunch meeting with the representatives from IKEA maybe 3 weeks ago. And after articulating the need that we see every day, we invited them for a tour of Cardinal Village. They accepted. And once they saw the wonderful job that Ms. Constance Covington does at Cardinal Village, once they saw the faces of the children we speak of, they agreed in partnership with us to fully furnish 7 homes within Cardinal Village Housing Project, as well as Ms. Constance Covington's youth center. So tomorrow morning, IKEA is sending a big flatbed truck from Charlotte, North Carolina at 9 a.m. And the members of IKEA's staff are going to volunteer their time. And we're going to put the items together, and we're going to deliver the items around 12 noon. And at 1:30 p.m., we're going to have a recognition ceremony, primarily for IKEA. You know, corporations come in, and we hope that they provide jobs, and we hope that they provide opportunities. But we really should pat them on the back when they really do right by our community, when they really allocate resources to our community. I mean, resources that matter. We're talking about families who do not have beds to sleep in.
Excuse me, Ward.
Yes. I'm not going over the time.
No,
Well,
we went over the time a long time ago.
But I just want to say thank you for.
That's okay. The time I'm not concerned about because we have a relatively short agenda tonight.
Yes.
But I do think we need to stay on the subject.
Absolutely.
The foundation is wonderful.
Absolutely.
And I take off my hat to you. You're doing a great job.
Well, if I may,
but what we need to do tonight is focus on the signs coming into the city.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
To your point, I encourage everyone that's maybe watching, everyone here, to visit our website, which is wendellscott.org. Visit us on social media. And to your point, you know, this moment has been picked up nationally. Since the article came out in the newspaper on Sunday, this initiative is now covered by Yahoo Sports, NASCAR.com, MSNBC, to name a few. And so I feel great about it because it gives Danville the opportunity to show the world that, you know, that we are moving forward, we are progressive, and that we recognize how special this area is. So I feel very encouraged by that. Thank you.
well, I asked you to do that. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I asked you to do that because so many people watching don't know.
Yes.
And I appreciate you giving that. And that's, once again, I just want to say thank you all for all that you do. And I appreciate all that you are doing. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Yeah, America needs heroes. Danville needs a hero. And Wendell Scott was a hero against all odds, against prejudice. He didn't have money. He became a winner. You know, I'm not from Danville. I grew up in Bristol. And if you don't know Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee, that's a big NASCAR center. Absolutely. So I was a race fan. So as a young child and a teenager, I knew who Wendell Scott was. And I knew he was from Danville. And he was one of my heroes. So I'm pretty biased for this movement because I just admired him for what he was doing. And then a couple of years ago, we went to the Hall of Fame in Charlotte. The council got to go, and I consider it one of our highlights, my highlights of being on the council. And it wasn't just because of his achievements, it was the respect and admiration of the other race car drivers. Many of these were Hall of Famers themselves. They admired Wendell Scott. Some of them even helped him with parts and so forth. So, you know, they recognized what he did, and they were his friends. So we have a hero here, and I think we need to tell the world Wendell Scott was our hero. So I am very for this, and I think it is still in the spirit of the Memorial Commission. We can nudge it a little bit, modify it to hear this and set up criteria because there are maybe other people we need to honor. But I think it could go to the Memorial Commission. But thank you for what you're doing. Can't say enough.
Thank you for your kind words.
Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir.
And the Scott family, thank you. We're honored that you're here. And thank you for bringing this. And we will, if we can't get to it tonight, we will get to it the very next meeting. We may talk about the process tonight, but, and I invite you to stay for the work session in case we can add it to the agenda and talk about the process.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? Please come forward. State your name and purpose.
Good evening. I'm Wayne Allen, and I own the Historic North Theater here in town. I met with you all about a year ago. I want to give you a little update on trying to turn the area around the theater into the Danville Theater and Arts District. About a week or two ago, hopefully you saw in the Register B did a nice article of me on the one-man show, and it spurred me on to realize I need more than just me. I need everyone here and here to help make this dream come true. So I want to give you a little update on what I've done in the last year. I have bought the building in this photograph to the right of the theater. It was the old Peyton Hatcher accounting building, and I'm turning that into the Danville Art Space, and it's going to be like an arts studios. There are 20 rooms that I'm going to be renting out very inexpensively to artists, so it'll be like an artist cooperative. Also, what's happened up there is I have renewed the lease for the Thai restaurant, the Moon River Thai Bistro, for another 3 years. And then also, across the street, Steve Del Giorno has started construction on the building next to the 616 restaurant that will become a grocery store. So I just wanted, in the coming month or so, I'm going to present to you all a detailed plan of being able to make this happen. Numerous reasons, which I will give you. In addition, some petitions that I've had people signing for this. And so I would hope that you all, through the holidays, would consider that, keep it in your mind, And Merry Christmas to you, and any questions?
Councilman Miller.
Yeah. You might mention about your foundation. He set up a foundation to enable people, you can contribute to the foundation and enable people who can't afford to get to plays and comedy hour, which is great.
That's true. In fact, he was kind enough to, I can say that, he was kind enough to give a donation toward it. I just got the paperwork, actually yesterday, for the Historic North Theater Foundation Incorporated. And that's really designed to be able to get grants and donations to be able to provide tickets to shows and programs that people can't afford them. In addition, we started a summer camp, a youth theater camp, and we had different scholarships that we gave to young people. We especially tried to give to students and young people around the area, around the theater, but also around the downtown. So that is a new thing that we've started at the theater to try to reach out to the community in ways that we can't. In fact, this afternoon I met a gentleman who had gotten tickets from from Epiphany Episcopal's. They do a food bank, and he had gotten some tickets, and he says, "I'll be seeing you Saturday. I'm coming to the Magic of Christmas show," so which, by the way, is at 7:30 Saturday night. Anyway, so thank you for that there. Appreciate it, Dr. Miller. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
bringing that to our attention.
All righty, and Merry Christmas.
Anyone else wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? Please state your name or names and purpose for being here.
Hello, Mayor, Councilman. My name is Michael Ellison. My address is 322 3rd Avenue. I am the founding director of the Recovery Refuge Peer Support Center.
Good evening. My name is Marty Jackson. I'm a resident of Danville, Virginia. I'm the newly seated board president for Recovery Refuge Peer Support Center.
I'm a little nervous. Forgive me. This isn't like my cup of tea, so bear with me. I am excited.
Not to make you any more nervous, but make sure you speak into the mic so we all can hear you.
All right. I don't know how many of y'all read the newspaper this morning, but I'm going to read a couple of inserts from an article that came out because it pertains directly to what I'm doing here today and what I'm trying to do in the community. It said 11 inmates at the Chesterfield County Jail graduated with 72 hours of training certified by the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services this past Thursday, December the 14th. It goes on to say that the jail was the first to graduate peer counselors who received their training while inside the facility. That after completing 5 hours of work in the field, the graduates will then become peer specialists who can earn between $30,000 to $35,000 a year. Chesterfield Sheriff Carl Leonard quoted, "There is a shortage of peer counselors. The need is there. This is a win-win. We are filling a crucial need, and we are finding the means of employing people who come out of the jail." There have been 1,000 peer recovery specialists trained in the Commonwealth of Virginia under the 72-hour curriculum developed by the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services by a team of 72 trainers. I am one of them 72 trainers, and here in Danville, will a few of you stand up? I have trained 19 peer recovery specialists in our community. That addresses exactly what Chesterfield County has done. Where does that bring me here tonight? On December the 21st in Danville, all community service providers offering services to those that have mental health and addiction challenges are in the reentry program from either the city jail, county jails, or coming out of mental institutions will have no services from December the 22nd through the 26th unless it's through emergency services or our first responders. Recovery Refuge, a consumer-operated service program, was built to bridge the gap between them service providers by being available during times in which that they can't, utilizing the peer recovery specialists that are spoke about in this here paper. We are opening our doors. It's the reason you have the flyers today, and I invite you, City Council, that at any given time between the 22nd and 26th, to come on out, visit us, look at our center, talk to our peer specialists, and find out what it is we're doing in the community and the evidence-based programming that we offer. We are opening our doors on the 22nd at 8 a.m. We're remaining open until 12 a.m. midnight because we understand that the challenges don't come on a 9 to 5 schedule. More so than that, we're at a time of the season where it's joyful for a whole lot of us, but there's some of us, this just ain't the most joyful time of the year. And where we believe in family integration and unification, we also understand that sometimes there is a strain and we need some support to get through those holiday seasons. So we're maintaining those hours from the 22nd to the 26th for any and everybody in our community that has had a mental health and or addiction related challenge, and just as well their family members. So where it's individual diagnosis, if you're living in the household of somebody that has a mental health or addiction challenge, you understand that it affects everybody. And so does the Department of Behavioral Health and SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Authority. So our services are free all through the holiday for any and everybody that may want a cup of coffee, may want a safe environment to hang out or get some support, shoot a cup of pool, or get some support to deal with some of the things that we deal with during the times in which that it may not be so joyful for us.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? Please come forward. Hearing none, we'll move on to the remainder of the agenda. First is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine, have previously been discussed by City Council or introduced for first reading. There will be no separate discussion on these items, and they will be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by a council member or citizen, the items will be removed from the consent process and considered separately. Anyone wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Councilman Whittle.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Councilman Buckner. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mayor Gilstrap?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Dr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks? Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
Under appointments, consideration of appointments to the Danville, Pennsylvania Regional Industrial Facility Authority. I would entertain a motion. Can we do these in 3 separate motions or one?
I think you can do one motion.
Do one motion. Vice Mayor Jones.
Mr. Mayor, move we adopt a resolution reappointing Sherman M. Saunders and Fred O'Shanks as a member of Danville, Pennsylvania Regional Facility Authority, and reappointing J. Lee Vogler Jr. as an alternate member of the Danville, Pennsylvania Regional Industrial Facility Authority.
Seconded by Councilman Whittle. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Reverend Campbell? Mayor Gilstrap?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Dr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Mr. Counselor, am I allowed to vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Aye.
Mr. Shanks? Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad, because if the three of you couldn't vote, we wouldn't have had a majority. Under new business, consideration of accepting 4 Nissan Leaf electric vehicles and chargers. Councilman Buckner.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion approving a resolution accepting the ownership of 4 Nissan Leaf vehicles and chargers from Vermata Energy.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. Any discussion? Councilman Miller.
Yeah, well, man, this is a great thing. We get something, electric vehicles, it doesn't cost us anything. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Councilman Buckner.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention again to you guys, we had talked about it in the work session, the possibility of us maybe having some chargers put up in different locations throughout the city. A friend of mine sent me something recently. There's actually a store in Alta Vista, Virginia, of all places, that has electric car chargers out in front of it. And I'm pretty sure it was provided by the town of Alta Vista. So maybe we should look at the model that they've used and try to adopt it here. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Vogler.
Yeah, and I I agree. We're talking about maybe having more stations, and I think I already forwarded an email to the city manager. I have a couple friends that are with Virginia Clean Cities and some organizations that actually provide grant funding and possibly willing to donate some of those electric chargers, and I passed that along to the city manager, and it'll probably be coming back around to council sometime here in the near future. But I think it's a great thing we're getting these free tonight, and anything else along those lines that we can get, we're happy to receive. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Mayor Gilstrap.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks. Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell.
Item B, consideration of authorizing the application for grant funding to expand bus service to Halifax. What is your pleasure? Councilman Miller.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recommend a resolution authorizing an application by the City of Danville, Virginia, to the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation for state and federal grants for operating and capital costs to expand bus operations to Halifax and Pennsylvania County for fiscal year 2019.
Is there a second? Councilman Buckner. Any discussion? I'm not sure discussion is needed, but I know council is very much aware of what we are doing. I'm not sure the public. So I'm going to ask for a quick update of exactly what this expanded service means and who's paying for it. Not us.
Not us.
Okay.
Not I, not it.
All right. I can provide some background, but we also have our Transportation Director, Mark Adelman, here, who can fill in the details. If I'll start, and whatever needs to be filled in, he can fill in. Basically, what is happening here is we've been working with folks from Halifax County and Pennsylvania County to expand our bus service to provide regional transportation to those. It's going from really, at this point, I think it's from Danville to South Boston and Danville to Chatham, but possibly extended to Gretna as well. What's happening is we are going to be the lead agency to apply for this grant or the funds to be able to put this in place. The counties that are being served by this are committing to pay for their portion of the cost. Much of that cost is being gathered through grants as well. And at the end of the day, the City of Danville will not be paying any extra to provide transportation, but we will be the agency that provides the service and then benefit from the fact that our people can come and go to both locations. Also, folks from those locations could come to Danville and through Danville to either Pennsylvania County or Halifax County. Do you want to add to that? All right.
Any Dr. Miller?
Right. You know, we don't realize this, but every day people wake up in South Boston and come to Danville to work. People come from Gretna to come to Danville, vice versa, Chatham. Sometimes they have transportation issues, and this would provide transportation for people, not just to come to visit, but to work. And as we expand our industries, we'll have more people that need to come to Danville to work and go from Danville to other places. So this is something we need for the area, regional transportation.
I did fail to say that a lot of the reason why we're doing this is to provide opportunities for people to get to work or to education opportunities throughout the region.
Our school.
Or school.
Our school.
Yeah, education opportunities. School.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks. Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell. Mayor Gilstrap.
Aye. Consideration of adoption of a resolution of support to the Virginia Grocery Investment Program and Fund. What's your pleasure, Councilman Vogler?
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution in support of the creation of the Virginia Grocery Investment Fund and Program.
Is there a second? Councilman Buckner. Discussion. Councilman Vogler.
Yeah, just briefly for those who wonder what this is about, all we're doing tonight is obviously just voting in a resolution of support, but the bill that we are offering support for is a bill that will be going to the General Assembly that Senator Stanley is putting in to address food deserts across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Particularly, it sets up a fund much like the Governor's Opportunity Fund that will incentivize grocery stores to open in areas that are lacking quality grocery stores, particularly low-income areas. And I think when it comes to Danville, we've seen statistics recently where we are in terms of health and having access to quality food. And even when you look at the data that shows if you live in one section of the city versus another, what your quality of health is. This will hopefully take some steps to help in that regard. And so it's a good bill. I imagine it'll be a bipartisan bill. And so it's something that I'm happy to support and glad we're showing support for it tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Miller.
Yeah, give you, for instance, even in Richmond, Virginia, you wouldn't think they'd be a food desert, but there are areas that in Richmond, Virginia, in the East End, are food deserts, and they've been able to incentivize grocery store owners to come in and put groceries in the East End, the Churchill district, if you know anything about Richmond. So the same thing here. We have food deserts within our city, and people can't get access to good food, healthy food. So I'm big on that. And I think this is a very valuable bill to help that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Dr. Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks? Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Whittle?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell? Mayor Gilstrap?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Communications. City Manager.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Deputy City Manager, City Attorney,
Happy holidays to everyone.
City Clerk.
Nothing, sir.
Call roll, please.
Mr. Saunders?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank Dr. Miller for the bag of goodies. Really appreciate that. And they are MD approved. Everybody will want to share some of these. I want to say Merry Christmas to all. And I want to say the light show in Blue Park by Park and Recreation is just absolutely beautiful. So I encourage everyone to go by to look at the light show and vote on who you think your favorite entry may be. So again, I'll say to all happy holidays, but more especially Merry Christmas. And Mr. Mayor, thank you, thank council, and thank all for what you do every day. Thank you.
Mr. Shanks? Mr. Vogler?
Yeah, as Councilman Saunders pointed out, the light show at Blue Park's fantastic. Blair and I took Kingston the other night, and the lights are great. And then even afterwards, they have a whole list of things you can do on the inside, especially if you have small children. They had activities there. They had a model train set up and pictures of Santa Claus, all that included in the price of admission. So it's not just the light show in and of itself, which is great and has gotten bigger each year, but the activities inside too. I want to thank the Scott family for being here tonight and for all that you continue to do and have done in the past. And just want to thank everyone who attended tonight. Also wanted to mention again the Recovery Christmas Extravaganza that was brought up here tonight, December 22nd through 26th at 212 Murphy Circle. And if you want to get more information, Mike Ellison, and just reach out to them. It's at 212 Murphy Circle. But great work they're doing over there. I also wanted to point out we are coming into the closing days of the 100 Ways in 100 Days initiative. Councilman Buckner and I have been working on. The website's been getting all kinds of great suggestions and ideas that we are looking forward to bringing down to our friends here on the council when the time is up. And but there's still time to submit your ideas and pass them along. We're right around that 100 idea mark. But we'd love to have over that, so keep sending them in. The web address, and my good friend Mark Aaron, who's behind the camera back there, maybe he can even drop it in the link for those watching on TV, but it's 100waysdanville.tumblr.com. We'd love to hear from you. All of the council, everyone on this council loves to get feedback from our citizens, and we're always looking for new ideas and suggestions, so please keep them coming. Bit of good news to report. I know we've mentioned it a lot in the last several council meetings. This tax reform, potential tax reform bill that's being voted on, and the historic tax credit and how that was potentially going to be eliminated. The good news is that the final bill that was voted on by the House today and will be voted on by the Senate and possibly signed in by the President does keep the historic tax credit. It's not eliminated. And actually, I'll read a brief statement because we mentioned him when we were talking about reaching out to our congressman. Congressman Garrett released a statement. I just want to read one little brief part about it. Said that he said, "I am pleased that the final bill included language that preserves a federal historic tax credit." And he goes on from there. But the historic tax credit is intact with the current bill. I know that was something obviously of importance not only to Danville but localities across the country. So I want to thank everyone who reached out to congressmen and those who just made your voices heard, and so we were heard in that regard. Last few notes. Councilman Shanks is not here tonight, but if he were, I know he would encourage everyone to go check out the Chrismon tree. So I'll do that in his place tonight and ask folks to go check that out. It is beautiful every year. Lastly, I just want to say for everyone here and everyone watching on TV, Happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. You see, we got the hat. I've got a Santa Claus tie on, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's got a little Christmas music playing. It's going to go for about 10 seconds, so I apologize, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you,
Councilman
guys.
Vogler, I'm just sure you're going to sing a little Blue Christmas to us.
I'm Mark's saving that for later in the week, but yours was fantastic, by the way, Mayor. Go on River City TV
He's got a video
Facebook.
coming out Friday of him singing "I'll Have
It's
a Blue
almost done, I
Christmas." I
promise.
can't wait to see it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Whittle?
I just want to thank everybody that participated and everybody that came in tonight. It's been an honor to be on council, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Mr. Buckner?
Yeah, likewise, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. The light show is fantastic. The Chrismon tree, I spoke with a couple people that are working up there this week, and they're very excited about it, and looking forward to checking that out. I'll probably go 23rd, 24th, and it's become a family tradition for us. We love it. It's a beautiful thing to see, and the story behind it's just incredible. Thanks to all who came tonight, the Wendell Scott Foundation. It's always a pleasure to see you guys. It's an honor to have you in our presence. It's not often we get this many visitors, and we appreciate you guys being here for sure. Merry Christmas, a very, very blessed holiday for everyone, and a very prosperous New Year to all of you. God bless you all. That's all.
Reverend Campbell? Mayor Gilstrap?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Jones?
I'm still trying to get over this necktie with the music over here. But to the Wendell Scott family and the foundation and all the staff members, thank you all so much for all you do. And since it's Christmas time, I just want to throw out some thank yous and some gifts to, there's a lot of people here. Brian and Kelly, the fashion show, what you did for Danville was absolutely phenomenal. And we thank you for doing that. Mark Aaron took us around, the council members, and talked about some of the great assets and things that happen in Danville, and that's one of them. Thank you all so much. I look forward to it next year. Also, Barry Mayo is here. He was here earlier. I want to thank Barry for all that he does. Crystal, with what you're doing with the parents and the school system and how you're supporting teachers and supporting everybody in the school system. I want to say thank you to Marty and Mike for what you're all doing for those recovery. There's a lot of good things going on in Danville. I see our past school board chair, Reverend Wilson, is here. George Wilson, thank you for all that you've done. Reggie and Eric, both mentors and young people who have done leaders in training and working with the Wendell Scott Foundation. Thank you for what you're doing. Just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. And James is sitting back there saying, Alonzo, make sure you tell people to shop at Abe Copland. But I don't know if he has any of these neckties. So please, again, I just pray that you all have a very, very safe and a happy Christmas. So much sadness is going on. And if you get a chance just to pass by someone, just give them a kind word or hello. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Dr. Miller?
Well, I want to thank everybody who came tonight. This has been a pretty dull meeting if it was left to council and all of y'all didn't come tonight because you have provided all the interest. And I want to give ourselves credit for the historic tax credits in Newmarket. I mean, the council sent a petition from here to our congressman, as many other cities did, and apparently they heard our voice and other people's voices. and kept that, because that's been a major part of our renovation of Danville, the tax credits, the new market tax credits. I wasn't going to wear my hat, but since you showed up with one and Vogler showed up with one, I'm going to spare you the music off this hat. Well, I could. I want to thank all the city workers for what they do for the holidays. Thank you. And, many of them will have to work in the holidays, and we thank you for that. And thank all the teachers and just everybody that makes this city so great. Okay, you asked for it. Let me see if I can get it going.
You're out of order.
That's all.
Next. Is that everybody?
That's it.
Meeting adjourned.